Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're taking a deep dive into one of history's most epic and transformative moments. Imagine just for a second you're standing in the heart of Rome. Not the Rome we know today, but ancient Rome, once the undisputed center of the world. A city built on marble, power, and an unshakable sense of its own eternal destiny. Now fast forward with me to the year 476 AD. This magnificent empire, the one that ruled continents and shaped civilization, is now crumbling right before your eyes. The eternal city, the very symbol of strength, is about to fall. Could you possibly survive it? It's a chilling thought, isn't it? The streets that once echoed with the triumphant cheers of legions returning from conquest now tremble under a very different sound, the whispers of fear and uncertainty. The aqueducts, those incredible feats of engineering that brought life-giving water to millions, are running dry. Granaries, once overflowing with grain from across the empire, are empty. Gold, the universal currency of power, is suddenly worthless. And the people who once believed they were gods among men are now fighting for scraps, desperate to survive. The mighty Roman Empire, arguably the most powerful civilization in history, is collapsing not just from outside pressures, but from within. If you were there in those final, desperate days, survival wouldn't just depend on your strength or courage. It would depend entirely on who you were. Were you a senator accustomed to luxury and power? You'd be hunted, a target for those seeking to dismantle the old order, a proud Roman soldier. You might find yourself sold into servitude or worse, forced to fight for the very enemies you once defended against. A humble peasant? You'd be forgotten, lost in the shuffle, trying to scratch out an existence. Every single breath would be a gamble, a stark choice between loyalty to a dying empire and the primal instinct to simply stay alive. And as if the internal struggles weren't enough, outside the city walls, barbarian armies are closing in like a storm. The Visigoths, the Vandals, the Ostrogoths, nations that Rome had once conquered and enslaved, are now returning, not for peace, but for revenge. They burn, they pillage, they take what they want. For centuries, Rome conquered the world, building an empire through sheer will and military might. Now the world is conquering Rome. Can you imagine the smoke rising over the Colosseum? That magnificent arena, once filled with the roar of crowds cheering gladiators, now stands silent. It stands soaked not with the blood of entertainment, but with the very real blood of its citizens. Temples are looted, sacred spaces desecrated. Libraries, those priceless repositories of knowledge and wisdom, burn, their precious scrolls turning to ash. The vibrant light of civilization, which had shone so brightly for so long, begins to dim, almost imperceptibly at first, and then with terrifying speed. As the chaos spreads, you'd realize the unthinkable. There is truly nowhere safe to hide. So what would you do in that terrifying scenario? Would you flee into the countryside, hoping to live off the land and somehow evade the roving bands of warlords and desperate survivors? Would you desperately barter your last few precious possessions for a piece of bread, a chance at another day? Or would you bravely take up arms, joining the desperate few trying to defend what little is left of the once proud city? Perhaps you'd even be pragmatic, seeing the writing on the wall, and choose to join the new powers rising from the ashes, the very tribes who would one day forge the kingdoms of Europe. The fall of Rome wasn't a sudden, cataclysmic event, not a single night of fire and ruin. It was a slow, agonizing death, 1,000 small collapses that went unnoticed until, suddenly, it was far too late. Corruption, greed, overreach, a government drowning in its own power and losing touch with its people. When the people stopped believing in the idea of Rome, Rome, as an empire, effectively ceased to exist. And that, my friends, is what makes this story so much more than just ancient history. It's a profound warning, a lesson echoing through time. Because every great civilization, every powerful nation believes it will last forever. Until it doesn't. If you had lived in those final tumultuous days, you wouldn't just have witnessed an empire crumbling. You would have witnessed something truly extraordinary, the dramatic end of one world and the challenging, uncertain birth of another. The so-called Dark Ages rising directly from the ashes of a fallen empire. New kingdoms emerging, new faiths taking hold, new wars being fought. Would you have found a way to survive? Or would you have been buried, symbolically or literally, with the empire that once ruled all others? The fall of Rome wasn't just the end of a civilization. In so many ways, it was the raw, unpredictable, and ultimately hopeful beginning of ours. What an incredible thought experiment, right? Let me know in the comments what you think you would have done in those final days of Rome. If you found this historical journey as fascinating as I did, please give this video a big thumbs up. Share it with your friends, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into history's greatest mysteries. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.